I've always been impressed with Seth Amoring's ability to teach and preach God's Word. And the time I visited Rock Lane Christian Church, I very much enjoyed myself. So I'm honored to be asked to do this devotional for you today. In the book of Colossians, the 3rd chapter, verse 2, the Apostle Paul wrote, "Set your minds on the things above, not on earthly things." If there's one benefit of the coronavirus shutdown, it's been the reminder of how futile it is to set our affections on the things of this earth, because they can be taken away from us so quickly. And it's a reminder to set our affections on those things that are eternal. So I thought I would spend this devotional time just telling you about a thrilling experience I had about 6 months ago. Andy Potts, a friend of mine in the church, asked me if I would accompany him on an honor flight to Washington, D.C. Now, you may be familiar with the honor flights. They were established in 2004 to pay tribute to World War II veterans, many of whom are dying off before we can say thank you. So they fly these guys to Washington, D.C. for a day and visit the various memorials there and then return them home, just as a means of saying that you're really special to us. Since many of them are disabled, many of them are in a wheelchair, everybody has to have a guardian on their flights. Now, they have since expanded the honor flights to include veterans from the Korean War and from the Vietnam War. And my friend Andy Potts is a Korean War veteran, and he asked me if I'd be his guardian, and I was glad to do that. We got out to the Louisville airport about 6 o'clock in the morning, and there was a woman dressed up like Rosie the Riveter from World War II. There was a girls' trio dressed up like Wax, a Women's Army Corps, complete with the hats and the hairdos and the seams and the stockings, and they were singing songs from that era, and a real sense of nostalgia. But they're treating these guys like kings. I was also impressed that Heather French Henry, a former Miss Kentucky and a former Miss America, was a volunteer guardian. In fact, she said she had taken 10 of these honor flights as a volunteer, because her dad was a disabled World War II vet, and she has a real heart for veterans. I said to my friend Andy Potts, I said, "Andy, can you imagine not having a guardian and coming out here and you're assigned a former Miss America for 12 hours? He said, "If I'd known about that, I wouldn't have invited you." But we got on the plane. It's decorated with American flags. They're playing patriotic music on the plane. They fly these guys to Washington, D.C., and there we get off. At the gate, there's a guy in a yellow zoot suit from that era, and there's a barbershop quartet singing patriotic songs and songs from the 40s. They put the guys on luxury buses, and they get attended by a police escort with sirens blaring and lights flashing. They go right through the traffic to downtown Washington, D.C. They visit the World War II Memorial and the Korean War Memorial and the Vietnam Memorial, go to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. It is a marvelous day as they tell these guys, "Thank you for the sacrifice you made for the freedom of our country." We get back to Louisville at about 9:30 at night, and these guys are all worn out, but it has been a wonderful day. They think it's over, but the best was yet to be. When they come through security, I'm telling you, there must have been 2,000 volunteers from Louisville there to welcome these guys home. Little kids are holding up signs that say, "Thank you for your service." Veterans from other wars are saluting them as they come through this long line of well-wishers. And everybody's applauding, calling out their name. And as these guys come through this long line of well-wishers, tears are streaming down their face. And I thought about heaven. Some of you may be beaten up today. Some of you are wounded. Some of you think nobody appreciates what you've done. But set your affections on the things that are above. The best is yet to be. Can you imagine what it's going to be like when these bodies give way and our spirits depart into the presence of Jesus Christ, and he welcomes us home with those nail-scarred hands, and we thank him personally for his atoning death on the cross? Then I imagine the Lord saying, "You know, there's some people just beyond that gate there that want to welcome you home." And the gates swing open, and there are thousands of people thanking us for our service. Loved ones you've not seen for years, welcoming you home, embracing you, calling out your name. People you influenced, you didn't know you influenced. there to welcome you home. And what a great cloud of witnesses that will be. So set your affections on the things that are above today, because the best is yet to be. Don't miss that. Don't miss that for the world.